Are we going?
Yes.
Has anything playing?
It's getting there. It takes time. I do not control YouTube, my friend. I have to wait like everyone else. Okay, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 266. We are on Trope Talk about character deaths. And if you don't know the YouTuber, this is the Overly Sarcastic Production YouTube channel, which is gigantic, has 1.6 million views. And this was done in October 2017 and has 1.26 thousand million views, or 1,100 views, rather. So 1.3 million views, roughly.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's a big, she does big trope conversations and talks about all sorts of other forms of tropes and versions therein. And when you talk about death in storytelling, it's the most popular topic in just about every genre, every format, every kind of idea, conversation, dialogue, whatever you want to call it. Death is always very popular to discuss or depict.
Yeah.
So it's been done to death, quite literally.
Ha
ha ha ha ha ha.
Yes. So there's lots of opinions about why it works, why it doesn't, how it should be done. And if you know anything about comic books, for example, it makes you go, "Oh, yeah, they're going to kill someone off." Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Do you do you remember what was it, that time period? I think it was like 2010 to like 2014, where every video game killed off the main character that you played as.
Was it like Call of Duty and?
Yeah, Call of Duty, Mass Effect did it, Dead Space did it, the first Red Dead did it, Assassin's Creed 3 did it. It was like I just kept. Bioshock Infinite did it, Bioshock 2 did it as well, and it was like more and more. I was like, oh yeah, cool. What a shocker! The main characters died.
I actually did not pay attention to games at that point in time about who lived or died, unless it was some sort of heroic sacrifice, and they thought that was like, oh, this is a popular game, let's do that. Narratively, that's a very strange thing to pick up on. So I don't think that's I
think it's because I was actually getting into video games at that point, because I was like 16 to 18 at that time frame. But it was like every game I picked up, I was like, the main character's going to die at the end of this. Oh yeah, what a shocker! The main character dies at the end of this. Oh yeah, and it's like, and they always try to play it off as like a big shock, but I was like, yeah, I've got used to it.
Oh, Astronaut did that as well, and also falls into that in that time frame. But it didn't do it as a big shock. It did it deliberately as a heroic sacrifice.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that there was some that did it well. I was just saying that at that point in time, it was like the trope was the main character dies.
Interesting.
Yeah. They did it twice in Mass Effect.
Yeah,
with the same character.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I just that's one maybe like character deaths. That's where it's not done well for me.
Maybe they all watch too much Dragon Ball because everybody dies repeatedly in Dragon Ball.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Not that many times. Goku only died twice.
Yeah, so the problem with death and resurrection, the issue becomes, are they permanently dead? And if not, how? And you have to have a really darn good reason why and how that is. And if you don't understand the concept of verisimilitude or believability, there's lots of ways to do your technology, which is ability to solve death or magic and all these other details. You really have to go into effort to allow the audience to go, okay, so this is actually believable, and we have all this technology, we have all this magical stuff, all this hidden, hard to discover ingredients for the death potion or the life potion. Like, there has to be all this stuff to work for us to go, okay, I can buy that Shepard came back from a puddle on the ground. So you have to have that necessary.
So, there is no way that Shepard can die now, though, as in, like...
Sorry.
He can get rebuilt whenever they want to.
Well, anyone can get rebuilt, but there has to be a good reason because it costs so much money. That's the thing I don't understand. If it costs so much money, was that the research how to bring someone back from the dead, or that was like getting resources for?
Well, they also cloned Shepard too. The Citadel DLC.
Citadel.
And if they can do that, why do they need all resources? They can just clone them, use the body, put the brain in, or make the brain again. They never explained what all the money was for.
Yeah, and once you have developed the technology, the brunt of your expenses are done.
Yeah, it's gone. Yeah, they have that technology.
Right.
And it's just getting the ingredients for the alchemy lab.
Which is kind of a problem in the Mass Effect universe in general, because they have cloning technology that the Solarians have had for, I don't know, hundreds of years. And it's just commonplace.
Nearly 1,000 years.
Yeah, they've been doing it for so long. So it's like, okay, you have this technology to make body parts, no problem. Why aren't there like really rich people running around constantly upgrading themselves or whatever? Is there some reason why that's not figured out yet?
And the relevant missing technology is then just rebuilding the memory.
And they could imprint memories. That's another technology, which is like, oh, they can do all these things with the brain. That's amazing. They've discovered the secret of memory.
They could also suppress memories as well, which Miranda overrid.
Yeah, they have control chips in the brain. They can do all kinds of crazy things. And it's never touched upon. It's never really talked about. It's just sort of, it's the thing. It's in the background.
It's brought up very slightly in Miranda's romance in one scene, and that's about it. But if you don't go down that specific route, you never hear about it.
It's a silly thing to talk about, and they could have done so much with that concept of what she had to do, what she had to go through to bring Shepard back. Instead, we got a really stupid, almost childish comic book of Liara being a superhero to recover a corpse, which is not really a corpse, it's just sort of the idea of a corpse. And yeah, it's just there's the body in this giant what do they call the collector pods?
Bag.
Well, I guess it was a bag, and Jacob's like meat and tubes. Like, no, dude, not meat. There is no meat. There are no tubes. It's just a puddle. There's nothing left.
Yeah, it's like falling into a combine harvester and expect.
No, isn't that like not reconstructing but cloning data from a positron?
You've already asked more than I can answer.
I remember there was a fan fiction about Mass Effect where they took that idea, the whole cloning thing, and like, what if there were 100 clones of Shepard, and Shepard got control of them and was using them to do their missions throughout Mass Effect 3. Like, I'm going to send 10 clones over here to do this mission. I'm going to send like 20 clones over there to do this mission. And I think as the story progressed, like all the clones started like getting killed off until there was like about like 10 of them, I think, towards the end. I can't remember. It was a couple of years ago. I read that story.
That's awesome.
That sounds like a pretty cool concept, to be honest.
I'm going to suicide my clones because, I don't know, you're crazy.
Then I don't need to sacrifice Tali.
Harbinger lands on Earth and he sees like 50 Shepard clones running at him. He's like, what the fuck?
You know what, bro? I'm out. Assuming directly getting the fuck out of here. We don't need the Crucible. We've got 50 Shepards.
See,
it's fine.
There's the problem with being a god. You can make all these bodies and capture all these civilizations. Who cares about an ant? You can clone as many Shepards as you want. You can make your own super Shepard who's 7 times stronger and smarter and faster. Why do you care? This is academic to you.
Unless he's 800 foot taller and like has metal skin, means nothing to the Reapers.
And you can make you can give all the Shepard clones different classes.
Or you can clone a Shepard that has
classes or glasses.
Glasses.
Or you can clone a Shepard that has a personality.
No, that's not possible.
Why don't you just clone a Shepard that's got like a cane strapped to his chest, and that would solve a lot of problems.
I don't think you can clone something which isn't there. So.
Yeah, but that's what imprinting is for.
Mm-hmm. You can imagine just randomly install brain imprints or whatever of other people.
Oh.
It's like, what am I? What's going on?
Why do I have this soft skin? This is horrible.
Yeah.
Well, my
I just imagine like they're loading up Shepard's like brain, and it goes like personality, and it's just like 0.5% or something.
He's a soldier.
And he goes, I should go 95%.
He has no thoughts on the matter. He's like, I don't
know. That's just literally it.
What do you do, Shepard? I don't know. What's going on? I'm gonna stop the Reapers. How? I don't know.
We fight or we die. Cheers, thanks for that. Anyway, anyone's got a plan?
Bravo. Anyway, so let's get back to the video, or start the video rather, and say that this is a very specific topic with lots of opinions. And so long as the death makes sense, is believable, there's nothing wrong with killing people off. It doesn't have to be like we talk about Game of Thrones. There's all these character deaths. It's like, oh, I was invested in that. It's like, it doesn't matter. You've got like 100 other characters to follow. Don't worry, the story's not going to end. So we're talking about countries of themselves.
Is it like a unless it's not like a negative flat arc like Spike from Cowboy Bebop?
Oh God.
Did I get that right?
I don't. Well, you got the words right.
Negative static arc.
What does that mean? I don't know.
Oh, but negative static arc. Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to make a joke, but halfway through I forgot I'm not weeby enough to remember the anime stuff.
You don't need to be. This has nothing to do with weeb shit. It's just nonsense.
No, I know it's fine.
Anyway,
and I've watched Overly Sarcastic years ago for a while, and I thought they do good stuff. Red does the writing stuff, tropes and mythology, and Blue does historical stuff. And the main critique I had with them back in the day is that they keep talking and put text on the screen, and
text on the screen.
Yeah, like Blue puts on a lot of funny speech bubbles on the maps, and then you have to pause to read that, and because most people can't listen to what you're saying and read the text that's on the screen. That doesn't work.
Do they play really loud music over what they're saying?
No.
Oh, that's okay.
I don't think so.
Because
I don't think so.
Of having videos that play really loud music over what they're saying.
Yeah, but what put me off later on is that I started noticing that it's good explanation, here a little joke, there a little joke, good explanation, and then random personal social justice politics speech bubble. Good explanation, little joke, good explanation, and it kept happening. And it just always pulled me out of the whole topic, and thought, why are you saying this?
Yeah.
Why are you putting your personal politics into an analysis of mythology or theory about the Roman? What?
How long ago was this video made? Yeah.
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Right, that's I'm just trying to think about what we could go over with character depths.
Yeah. So
that was fine.
Back from what I remember, it's mostly good stuff with odd moments of aneurysms.
Okay.
All right, let's get going. Here's Mike Testa. I'm Steve, or am I Steve? And things come to an end. Steve and Blue's Clues are a thing we went through, and hopefully we're done.
Steve I already repressed that treasure. Unfortunately, it's not my nation.
Children's actors
with his receding hairline.
Yeah, having emotional issues with their hairline enough to quit their job. Okay.
Children's actors having emotional breakdowns because Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah. Go visit a hospital.
Crying in a cancer ward.
Yeah, it's. Grow a spine, sir. Just go say hello.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's like when the kids are like, bro, just stop, grow up, man.
Yeah. Here's Alex Halo. It's a video from Red. LD also watched her videos. Yeah, apparently BB told us that you guys do it on Morning Nonsense, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. I haven't really watched her videos. I don't know too much about her. I might have saw one, years ago, but that's about it. So we'll see what she's like today. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's do this.
One of the pieces of writing advice I never really liked was this. If you're stuck, kill a character. Now, part of this was because I love all my characters and...
Okay, so that's not a piece of writing advice I've ever heard before. There's no reason to have an issue of writer's block, and you go, what do I do? Oh, I know. I'll just eliminate the character I wrote so I can write another one or focus on another. That's sort of antithetical to writing.
It sounds like soap opera writing.
I don't even know what that is. You can simply write.
Writing...
Well, no, you can just simply write.
Yeah, writing...
and end the chapter there and just write something else. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So
but a writing block can be for anything. You might kill the character off, but you might still have a writing block.
Well, it's possible the person doesn't know how to write or doesn't know their character, and they're like, what do I do with this character? What do I do with this character? And they're like sitting and sitting and sitting. It's like, don't worry about what you're doing with the character if you don't know the character. Write about something you know. Write about a character you actually know about and what you want to do with them. And if you want to tie up that loose end in chapter 5, fine, do it later, but don't forget about it. Just because they're there.
When I with my first draft of what I was writing a couple of years ago, I had an idea of I was definitely going to have one character death, and I knew which character it was going to be. So I put him to the side, as in I knew where he was going to go, as with everything, and then I just concentrated on the other characters to make sure they were equally as fleshed out. So it would work around that.
Yeah. There's lots of ways.
Death was easy.
Yeah, there's lots of ways to plan out what you want to do with your characters that aren't death. So I never once I've ever heard, you're stuck, kill them off. It's like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, I'd like to hear. I'd be interested in who the person is that told her that allegedly.
All right.
Yeah. Because also you have to remember, once you kill a character, that character's gone. You can't do anything else with. That's how I always think of it. If you're going to kill them off, make sure you get what you want out of that character.
There's lots of ways to do it dramatically so it has value, but sometimes you just need a character to die, but that's figured out. So, this is exactly what I want for my character. And
but what I'm saying is if someone tells you, you're stuck, just kill them off, just always remember, if you kill that character off, that's it. You might have a better idea later down the line for this character, but you can't do anything because they're dead.
Well, if you look at the work of people writing poetry or short stories or this or that, your focus is the plot. There isn't time to develop a character. There isn't time to do other things. And if you want a character to die, you've already sort of had that figured out. I remember a story by Salinger. He wrote a short story novella or a short story anthology with a series of short stories in there, and the one was Banana Fish. And it was so shocking, and it just blew your mind. You're like, what just happened? I have to reread this. How did this happen? And it's so out of the blue, but it's not unheard of. It's like I was not expecting that. And you reread the story of why this happened, and you're sort of picking up the pieces going, okay, I sort of get it. Something's really wrong here. But because they're on vacation and they're having a good time and everyone's sort of happy, it's like, okay, everything looks good. But under the surface, there's other stuff going on. So there's lots of things to do with character death in theory, not in novelle or novella format. So that's fine. You can experiment with that and see if it works for you. But just, I don't know, I'll kill them off is a silly, silly idea.
A more widely applicable problem is that killing off characters is actually really hard. Well, I mean, it's not hard to kill a character because you're the writer and you can do anything. What I mean is, it's hard to convincingly kill off a major character.
It's really easy. The next sentence, they walk into traffic and get hit by a car and die. That's very convincing.
What she means with convincing is probably meaningful, and that you accept this is.
But that's not what convincing means, though.
Yeah. I think she's just using the wrong words for what she wants to express.
Yeah. I would agree, because if you want to write anything meaningful, death is just one of many things. So
yeah, but you can do a sloppy instant death out of the blue, and have that impact other characters with a sudden realization of the futility of it all, and oh my god, I'm building my empire, and the guy I was looking up to just died due to a random incident that there was no control over it. Oh my god! Yep. So
because sometimes meaningless.
You can play on that.
Good though. A meaningless death can also be good, if you know what I mean.
I think
a shocking death.
The word is to me. It's always believable. It doesn't have to have meaning. It has to be believable that this occurred. If it makes sense, it goes, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense that this would have happened this way. Then you're fine.
I think that's what she means with convincing, believable. It's synonymous.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, because it's like I always remember the end of All Quiet on the Western Front, where the main character just pokes his head up to see a bird and then gets shot. It's a meaningless death. There's no fanfare. There's no nothing. But it's good because it just shows, it's just war. This happens, especially in this war. So,
see, major character death is an insanely powerful trope for all kinds of reasons. It annihilates the status quo, hurts your audience and your surviving characters, and is almost guaranteed to have long-standing character
It hurts the status quo. What does that mean? The social world they're in?
The constellation of the characters you have is shifted now.
Yeah, but you could do that with just ending the chapter and just focusing on another character. I don't see how that's relevant unless she's referring to the social world of these characters they're in and the status of those characters in a hierarchy of some sort. Then that would make a little more sense. But
not necessarily hierarchy. She doesn't. I don't think she means hierarchy. I mean, she means the. Just the relationship constellation between the characters. Like this character is relying on that one, and now the character's gone. Someone has lost an adversary, and so on, and this gap cannot ever be filled again because the character is gone permanently. It's not a change of character; it's just the character's gone as out of the field. I think that is what she means. She doesn't mean hierarchy.
I'm trying to think of the.
So I think we will have a lot of semantic issues here with Red, where due to choice of words.
Yeah, so we have a death in Mass Effect, the first mission. I can't remember his name. He's basically a red shirt. He's part of your squad.
Richard L. Jenkins.
Jenkins, thank you.
Jenkins, yeah.
Jenkins gets killed instantly, and that's the trope of
Richard L. Jenkins. Do you not forget that name?
Sorry,
Gem.
He is purposely a sacrificial lamb to show you the stakes and how dangerous the mission is. That's the whole point of his existence and his death. And that is not uprooting the status quo. That is showing us what is going on in this world. Because everything's quiet.
His name was L. Jenkins?
Yeah, Leroy Jenkins, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Of course he's got to die.
Yeah, so...
I'll be damned if that's actually where it comes from.
So the concept of the sacrificial lamb is a plot device to make things work a certain way, to give you a certain tone. But no one really talks about him. It doesn't hurt the audience. It doesn't scar us. It makes the characters go, oh my God, we gotta watch ourselves. Because he just walked into open fire like a moron. But
well,
he didn't
walk into open fire. Shepard told him to walk in the open ground. He's literally the first. That is the first squad control you have. He's the first person you move, and he literally gets shot. It's like, oh, great, cool. I thought I failed the mission or something the first time I played it.
Oh no. Yeah, that's a background character. He's basically plastered on the stage as a prop. And what I believe, and oh God, I hate that I have to defend Red all the time. I believe what she is what she is talking about, implicitly, without having stated it explicitly, is that she's talking about main characters. And not any chaff on the side. He's talking about
major character deaths. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heroes, villains, and supporting
Well, she didn't say that. Yeah. So sorry.
Yeah, she didn't. Yeah, she didn't say that.
Well, it says
I think she assumes we all think, and she forgot. I think this is something that happens sometimes with her, but that's just fuzzy memory. It was very long ago that I watched the channel.
Okay,
I'd say it's generally okay. It just has some tisms.
Okay, so if we're talking about a protagonist or antagonist character, you need a replacement for that plot. If you do not have a replacement for that plot, then you're going to turn into this weird ensemble cast where everyone's not sure what they're doing. They're in this state of confusion, and so is the story. Because this catastrophe, like, say you're at the middle of your story, you hit the climax, your main character dies, everyone's like, oh my God, what do we do? And that's sort of part of the climax. It's part of the catastrophe of what's going on. And that could be a good thing because everyone's like running around with their head cut off, trying to figure stuff out. So that could be a focus of the narrative at that point, and that's fine. So
I'm trying to think of a situation where that happened, though. Would just after Zahadum with Babylon 5?
That's a good one. That's a good example. Yeah.
That would be where everyone's trying to figure out what's going on.
It's more to do with the audience figure out what the hell just happened than the actual characters, because we all knew in a prophecy it was going to happen anyway, at least from what's his face from the Vorlon.
Lorien.
Not Lorien. No,
Kosh.
Kosh.
No, because he meets him later on, doesn't he? Yeah, Kosh. Yeah.
So, Lorien is first encountered on Zahadum.
Right. So we saw it coming. So we knew something was going to happen there. And it was sort of his destiny to do that. It was sort of the destiny of the guy in charge of the war to die. And that's all they knew. They didn't know he was going to come back. They didn't know anything about that. So when he comes back, it's like, what? Excuse me? Mm-hmm. And they try to explain.
Hi, I'm back. Oh, by the way, I've only got 20 years. Oh, cool, great.
Like every other normal life is like, fine, all right. He's kicking around.
I'm gonna die when I'm like 65. Okay, cool. Anyway.
Yeah. So. But
that's one of the only ones I can ever think of where there is that whole like ensemble cast after a main character. I can't really think of any other ones where
but the way that it would work is each of the characters would have to have their own plot, and they would have to either take over the reins of the original protagonist or antagonist, or they would start their own plot. Like that's the only way it would work. You don't just have a bunch of the rest, like the other half of the story would just be random stuff with all these other side stories. It would not work.
Yeah, because Garibaldi starts doing the Mars stuff. Ivanova is trying to just keep the station together. Delenn is sorting stuff out against the Shadows. Yeah, so they do sort of like take different strands of Sheridan's plot, and they become like what they're suited to. Yeah, so that's probably why it works.
Yeah, and then he comes back.
But I wouldn't say they're bumbling about. They still have all their jobs.
Oh yeah, but at that point, the story is now fragmented. And you don't have a story, like you should not have a story where it's just like 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or 20 characters just randomly doing stuff tangentially related. You're going to lose so many people's attention so quickly.
You can do that for a while because this is the time of chaos. The hero's gone.
Sure, but not like for everyone. Oh, he died. Let's all have a talk about it, and then we'll all get on with our lives like 2 months later. And unless you're doing it in book format where you can show time skips, where that can connect properly, you're wasting a lot of time and a lot of attention of the audience to have them refocus. Like, what is this story about? Now it's about a death. Okay, so there's a wake going on. Like the leader of a party is gone. Now what do we do? It's like, well, obviously you need a leader. Get one or make one. I don't care. So
yeah, but I think Babylon 5 is a bad example in that regard for that critique, because as the audience, we still saw, Sheridan is alive on Zahadum, or revived,
right?
But nobody knows about it.
Right, so the audience...
And we have yet no idea how he's going to get out of it.
So the audience is clued in, which is good for us. And that's fine, because we know he's going to eventually do other stuff. but the other characters are still doing their things. So that's fine for the audience, which is the most important part. They can react any way they want because they have their own military command, and of course there's no help from Earth at that point, so there's no replacement captain anytime soon or whatever. So they're independent, I think. So that is fine. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the chat, but thanks guys for posting H. I don't know what that means.
Oh, H. Oh, that's a sloppy seconds thing. Don't worry about it.
All right, no. Okay, anyway, back to our wonderful video, because this is obviously about main characters.
Repercussions. Not only that, but the death of a loved one is one of those things that almost everyone has a personal experience with sooner or later. Morbid though it may be, this is a trope that people can relate to, which only adds to its overall power and widespread usefulness. But because of this, there's a dark reflection of this trope that sees equal, if not greater, use: the fake-out major character death. This trope has all the benefits of the true character death trope, with the added bonus that the character's not actually dead. You get to reap all the benefits of the emotional impact of the death, and keep the character, and get the emotional impact of the character's triumphant return from the grave.
So, Superman.
Okay,
yeah.
So here we go.
The Superman, yeah.
The best example was Babylon 5 as well. We had Lorien, this ancient alien who can just do amazing stuff, which is fine. And then you had...
he's one of the first ones, though. So.
He is the first one, apparently. So
the first one.
Yeah.
And then you have the magical machine in another story from seasons ago, which can transfer the life force from one person to another to revive Ivanova. And Marcus sacrifices his life to give to Ivanova. So those are two examples. One is mystical, and one is technological, which is done just enough. If they went any further, or they didn't go enough.
Yeah, that one still hurts. That Marcus.
Well, Marcus, it makes perfect sense because you look at Marcus. He is exactly the kind of guy who would have done that. And he was pining.
He also pining.
He was drooling.
The whole forest of pines.
He was dripping all over her, and she would never touch him. And it was awesome. I love that. So it worked out very well. I
also did like the fact that she still remembers it. She even breaks down crying. Is it like the last episode?
It's what broke her and made her leave.
Yeah, because she found out that she actually did have feelings for her. But
yeah, well, Ivanova had a very big shell, and she needed that. But it's ultimately what led to her tragedy.
Yeah, but with fake out ones, you get a lot of those in like the Disney kiddie movies.
Yeah,
fake out deaths.
It's a standard trope, if you will.
I know in comics it happens a lot, just because it's comic books and we get that. But with what was the comic?
You can't do it repeatedly.
Oh yeah,
you can't do it repeatedly with the same character.
Yeah, but there's
literally every other day.
Yeah, but with what's that? Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I believe that was one of the major plot reveals in the first season or second season of Agent Coulson, because we saw him get killed in the movies. And they brought this character back. Obviously, the actor is the same, and that was like they explained. It was a whole mystery what the procedure was and how he came back and why he was so important and all this other stuff. So they put a lot of effort into that. So yes, it's a comic book TV show, but it wasn't stupid. It wasn't like, oh, we have the magical reviving machine. It's like, no, you don't. We had to rebuild your brain. We had to recreate you.
Well, one of the fake out ones I always remember is from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but they think he's gone over the edge of the tank. That's a fake out death scene.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you have
that's just more the perspective trick. It's not a real death fake out.
Well, yeah, we as an audience know that, but it's still a bit of fake out. They still want the impact. No need to sacrifice actual character for impact. Relief for joy when character turns up alive again. You see the joy his dad does.
Yeah, but that's just the tension built up of an action scene. That's not the emotional impact of a real death scene.
And again, a good example of the fake out death is Superman, as I said earlier.
yay and nay, because he is pretty.
Only in the sense that, yeah, it's like the actual death of Superman, it came from just the common belief at that point that Superman was just as invincible, when in reality, yeah, he has his limits.
Yeah.
And I would agree, nay, because fuck the healing coma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I remember.
I'm just trying to think.
I remember Persona 5. If you guys remember, I don't know if you guys played it, but Ryuji gets caught in an explosion, and everyone gets away except for him, so they all assume he's dead, and he comes back like a minute or two later. It's like, oh wow, that was crazy, guys! I lost track of you, and everyone's like, crying.
I didn't believe that one for one goddamn second.
Yeah, so you're just like, okay, it's not quite done. Like, there's not enough gravitas for me to go, wait a second, did you just kill off Ryuji? Really? And then a minute later, he's back, and everyone gets angry at him. And it was kind of funny because that's the joke. That's like, oh, everyone's crying over Ryuji that no one really likes, and they all like lost him. And they didn't set it up to be dramatic. It was just sort of like, oh my god, we just lost our friend. So it sort of leans both ways, a little bit here, a little bit there, to believability. And like, wait a second, no, they're doing something with this. They're not going to let it go.
And if you want to do it right, you can go over, when you have a setting where you go over the top. Asura's Wrath did this well, where the main character seems to be dead several times and really destroyed. Like relatively early on, you have a death of him where after he gets out of spat out of a volcano again after 10,000 years, he's still without arms, and then you have to do a boss fight against one of his former friends without arms, and the game just goes on like that. And it does this a couple times. Like, it's always on the brink of death, always seemingly dead. One time I think he's really dead or almost dead, and but it's pulled off well. It's not like Dragon Ball where, okay, after a certain point we have the rules established that Son Goku died again. Yeah, let's get some Dragon Balls together. Oh, they don't work anymore on the same guy. Let's get Dragon Balls from another planet. And so on and so on and so on.
Literally every Dragon Ball fan out there agrees that that's kind of a like a bullshit.
Yeah, it's a joke at that point. But it's acceptable then for, okay, we're just going to watch more action nonsense. Okay, but for Asura's Wrath, if you ever played it, and I highly recommend that you do, these moments are always
just make sure you get it with the DLC.
Necessarily. That it's always done in a different way with different stakes. In it, and this, the resolution to it is also different again every time. And although okay, the game still has to go on, this can't be the ending yet. Although you know that, it's still impactful because the game is just written so well, the scenes are directed so well that it always still has impact. Because you don't know, is the fight going on now, or is it over, or what's going to happen? I'd say that's how you do the fake character death right.
Here is Mike Testa. Are wizards and sorcerers the same Rags problem? No, if Rags knew some D&D, they are different. So no.
They're completely different. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One spelled with a W, the other one spelled with an
Who
X,
had that?
guys.
Rex didn't know that wizards and sorcerers are different?
That's fine. Not everyone does. That's fine. That's fine.
Wisp, it means nothing. It means nothing. Let it go.
Anyway, so the whole point of characters coming back from the dead, is the death and revival believable? Is there enough detail in the narrative, in the lore, in the setting, like Buffy or whatever? Like, there's all this there's so much magic. There's so many supernatural forces that, okay, I'm sure someone knows how to do this as such. Other stuff like, oh, you were like unconscious underwater for 5 minutes. It's like, probably not. Probably you're dead. But even then, that happens as well in stories. So
your body slammed into a planetoid. We brought you back with technology.
You're breathing in acetone. It's like, yeah, you're fine.
Your cake and eating it too, and also getting a better cake on the side. But what that means is that it can be almost impossible for an audience to tell the difference between a fake-out death and a real death. It's in the writer's best interest to make a fake-out death as realistic as possible, because that's how they convince the audience that it's not really a fake-out death, and therefore get to use all the benefits of the real death trope. But thanks to the widespread usage of the fake-out death trope, it's also in a writer's best interest to make a real character death even more convincing than fake-out deaths, because otherwise you run the risk of an audience that straight up doesn't buy that the character's really dead. What's basically happened is a fictional arms race of narrative tricks between the real and fake death tropes, each one...
I don't think so. That's... What are we talking about here? You're trying to tell me a writer's...
And
like,
when you do fake deaths, your real death needs to be better.
Even better. Yeah.
This is... I don't know what this is.
Now, I just thought of this. It's like, which one does the snap victims from Infinity War fall under? Which one?
Well, that is the ability of a god to snap his fingers and just do whatever he wants. The problem I have with this is it's not the fake death that matters. It's the revival that matters. How do they come back? Because if they're dead, they're dead. And you tell the story as they're dead, and you put into visceral detail of how this is accomplished. If you have the technology, if you have the magic, if you have the godly powers to do so, that is what you need to write properly, not a fake death. That's silly. She's categorizing this in a very strange, odd way, because I could have a death in a story where it just happens, and there's very little description, and it all makes sense. To say we need all this detail to show the blood and the guts and all this gore, it's like, okay, we get it. The body is no more. And then to say we can bring them back, that's the problem. And that's the problem we have with Mass Effect 2. There is no way Shepard's body, original body in a helmet or otherwise, can be revived unless you explain all the visceral details, all the technology, where the money went, where 2 years of this time went. And that's all you got to do. That takes a lot of time, though. And it's not part of an action-adventure story because, we got to shoot stuff. But that's what you gave us. You have to you have to sell us on that. And giving us a 30 or 1 minute cutscene of a bunch of dead cells or veins and needles popping into them and releasing magical blue fluid, that doesn't work. That's not enough.
Yeah, just doing a $6 billion man voiceover isn't. It's not good enough anymore. Yeah. We have a technology. We can rebuild him. Okay, what is this technology?
Could you give us some details?
What is going on?
I don't think there wasn't even technobabble. There was barely anything. Like Miranda just knows how to do it. You're like,
there was nothing.
It's just,
don't they say they shove some Reaper technology into
no.
Shepard?
There was some involved because we have to make the connection between Tim and Shepard's eyes.
Oh, right. Yeah, but we ourselves have to try and make that connection. It's not stated in the game.
The cybernetics are just sort of
since I played it.
The cybernetics are just sort of implied when the doctor talks to you, but we don't know what they did or how or why. If they can clone Shepard, what the hell do you need cybernetics for?
It's like, but the thing is, like, they talk about the cybernetics as nothing, but in the end of Mass Effect 3, we do either the control or synthesis, and his skin gets burnt away. It looks like he's just a bloody robot.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath, it's not like muscle or anything like that. His face is metallic.
Yeah, it's implied in Mass Effect 2. He is extremely strong. He is. Like
I get that, but the thing is, it's almost like the way that ending goes, and I know it's a crap ending, and I do apologise for bringing it up. But because he dissolves, doesn't he, into the endings, pretty much.
Well, With that, we say magical. But when you say dissolve, literally, he fades to nothingness because of In the blue ending, the green ending, I think he does actually literally dissolve, which is stupid, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's magic.
Yeah, I know that.
It's magic alien text,
magic.
So we're like, fine,
space
whatever.
magic.
Yeah, it's fine. They're the Reapers; they can do whatever they want. It's fine. Why?
Here's your daily reminder: the Mass Effect 3's ending sucked ass.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 10 bloody years next year as well from that, and I'm still fucking like.
Mass Effect 3's 10 years old now. Wasn't it in early 2013 that came out?
March 6th, 2013?
Or wait, no, 2012. My bad.
2012 it came out. Yeah, March 6th, 2012.
I was thinking of the other game. Sorry.
Matrix is 22 years old.
Oh boy.
God. Oh god.
And Keanu's still making those movies.
Oh, Matrix with the fake out death. Because it's in the first one, when you get shot and then he becomes the one.
I'll just grab her heart and get it beating again, because.
Well, there's that, but yeah, there is that one which is. I'm not going to talk about that one, but with the first Matrix, when he gets shot by Agent Smith, and then he comes back alive. He does die, so you have the emotional thing, but his resurrection makes sense, as it's like his brain finally realizing the Matrix isn't real, which is what the one has to understand. So his sort of resurrection makes sense within the confines of the story.
It's where it's building up to.
Yeah,
he needs the realization, and the realization only comes through the literal.
There is no spoon. There is no gun shooting me. So you know what I mean. It's the same thing. Yeah.
That and Kissing Trinity was part of it too. I guess I don't know.
Yes, something like that. Yeah.
Power of women's lips. I don't know, whatever that means.
The power of tickling some tonsils or something. I don't know. It's just
trying to be more convincing than the other. So right now, it takes a lot of work to convince your readers that your character is dead. And this is a problem for writers using both the real and the fake out death.
No, it's not. It's the same. It's literally someone got shot in the skull with a bullet. The end. That's it. You're done.
Yeah.
I think we understand bullets. It's very easy.
When you character back after that, the audience tends to have thought that the character was dead all this time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't bring the character back right away, you actually have a really good tool, because you can have that character act in the background. And and Robert Jordan did this with a couple characters in Wheel of Time that were reincarnated and partially in, well, of course, in new bodies. So you couldn't even tell which previous character was reincarnated as they also got new names. And that made it also kind of a puzzle, that at some point you realized, oh, this new character that was introduced, is that character from 3 books ago? That's interesting. And so you have all the implications for that to catch on that about what's going on. But some of the puzzle pieces you have to figure out yourselves. And like there were some mysteries that were always left open for the fans of the books, like who killed Asmodan. Just that was one of these sudden death things. You just get a little scene where Asmodan or Asmodean, don't know which version of the name Jordan used anymore. It's too long ago. Was just in a room. So he's a bard, but he was a former villain with one of the most powerful evil people in the world. But with his powers locked, and now having to teach the main character in using the male side of the force of the magic that they have in that world. And at some point, he's just in a room playing his harp. Someone enters, and all that Asmodean is saying is, "Oh, it's you." And then he's killed. So he was expecting the person to come. He apparently just didn't know when. But it's not said who the killer was. It's just, all we know is it's someone he knows.
Oh, it's you. It just sounds so much like a horror trope. Oh, it's you. Hey, wait, what are you doing with that knife? Oh, no!
No, it's all without that. He was expecting to be killed because he was in a position where he had to be removed.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying the line, "Oh, it's you," was just been used so many times in like murder mysteries and horror movies.
Hey, that was written in the 90s. It wasn't that overused yet.
Oh, the 90s. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That dark, long forgotten time.
When there was still some good movies being made.
The key word is yet.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Tropes. Audiences have gotten so used to fake-out deaths that they almost assume that any and all potential deaths will be corrected within the space of a few minutes. Unfortunately, it strips a lot of the potential drama out of what logically should be one of the most dramatic tropes in existence. I'd say that shonen anime is probably the biggest offender here. How many times...
No. Comic books.
Yeah, definitely.
Comic books.
I agree. US comic books are much worse than that.
Why is it always fucking anime?
Because that's all these people consume.
I think these people think it's anime just because of Dragon Ball.
Maybe? But that's just one show.
No offense, like
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that was the reason.
I have nothing against anime, right? I'm trying to get into it, and I'm watching stuff. But for the last 12 videos that I've been on, excluding Blue's fucking clues, it's all been anime. As examples of stuff, and I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah, the Quentin video was a nice little break in between.
Yeah, I'm just like, they're like, well, in this anime, I'm like, right, animes do things a lot different to, other media things.
There's a lot of anime where the violence is so over the top that you would expect them to die, but they don't. But that's because it's comical. It's exaggerated.
Yeah.
It's not literal.
I'm watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So much is over the top. I just accept it. You can't. I watched a man get cut in half and still do a monologue speech.
Yeah, because you can only die once you set your piece.
Yeah.
That's the rules of the universe, didn't you know? But I expect more from Red because she's versed in mythology. What all these American action movies and these hospital series. Oh no, he's dead. Defibrillator. Then okay, he's back. Great. Action movie. All the time. Does this all the time. Bollywood cheesy stuff. Chinese cheesy movies.
Now what they
all have it. They all do it. All the fucking
it's the same
time.
technique. Instead of like defibrillator, it's now internal paddles, which is just basically two paddles like a defibrillator just touching the actual heart. It's the same shit. Just we have to cut up the chest cavity and get to the heart. It's like, no, you don't. I guess you do. Oh, fine, you do. It's more dramatic this way.
Or just jab them in the chest with adrenaline.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Oh god, yeah. But there's so many like examples you can choose from. I'm going to swap my own bingo card and just whenever someone mentions anime, I'm just like, yeah, just tick it off. It's like, yeah, here we go again.
All right, keep going.
We've seen our hero annihilated by an attack and pronounced almost certainly dead, only to have some danger-induced super mode activate and make them even cooler than they were before, or a last-minute rescue that pulled them out of the suspiciously opaque dust cloud before they got hit, or in the absolute worst-case scenario, to show up swathed in skin-tight bandages in the very next scene. The only drama gained from is how much damage the other characters might take in their absence. It's nearly impossible to convincingly kill a shonen protagonist, which is okay because it basically never happens anyway. One step up from that is most superhero media, because while some characters do actually manage to die, there are just way too many ways for them to come back. My personal favorite example is X-Men's Nightcrawler, who managed to be dead for a whole year before he escaped death by teleporting back to life. That's next level. But even outside of serendipitous superpowers, you've got Lazarus pits, questing into hell, literal magic, robot
you gotta admit, Nightcrawler's way of coming back to life was pretty damn clever.
Other ways to resurrect characters. This is a genre that transcends superhero stuff. Any universe with even one way to resurrect someone is going to have some serious problems convincing the audience that any
Joker comes back to life because of the fans.
The audience why they aren't using that established method of resurrection to resurrect their favorite character. But even beyond that, sometimes the thing that makes your audience unwilling to buy a character death is just how important that character is. It doesn't matter if they're only mostly dead or all the way dead or dead and definitely going to stay that way. If they're a central character, or even worse, a central character with unresolved subplots, a lot of your audience is just going to refuse to believe they're dead because
no, that's fine. I mean, there's lots of characters in Game of Thrones with unresolved plot threads. Happens all the time. It's just more gut wrenching.
But when people die in real life, they have unresolved plot threads. So it's like, so it's not really.
It's kind of the stuff you regret on your dying bed.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. It's just a bit like with Game of Thrones, especially with the books. It's like it's just meant to be like a. It's an anyone can die because I'm trying to go with like what a medieval fantasy place would be like. Do you know what I mean?
And that happens relatively easily. And then you have Tommen just walk out the window. Bloop.
Yeah, I can never take that scene seriously because if anyone's watched the IT Crowd.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly like I thought exactly of that.
When Renholm walks out the.
The company's in peril. Well,
the police are here. They want to talk about the missing pension fund. I'll be with them in a minute. Walks out window and kills himself.
Yeah, he walks there in his standard confident, I am in complete control of everything manner. Just out the window, bloop, there, gone.
In the middle of a board meeting as well.
Yeah, without any tilt, just bloop, straight up. That beautiful. Tommen did the exact same thing. He had dangling plot threads. Oh, of course.
Probably, I don't know. I can't remember the series after that really. But yeah, it's you can kill off people with dangling plot threads. It's fine. Sometimes that's what hits hard. It's like oh right, so he's not going to resolve this. Oh right. Okay.
You couldn't do the thing. You couldn't, for example, you couldn't bring the MacGuffin to the other characters, and now they need to figure out how to get it, or even figure out that they need it, that it exists, and that they need it. Can be done.
Well, look at I'm going to bring up Call of Duty, but in the Modern Warfare series, Soap dies with he's incredibly essential to the plot, and he doesn't see it to the end.
Yeah.
So it's like
he almost dies like a couple times, I think, in the Modern Warfare series.
Yeah, at the end of 2, he gets a knife stabbed into him. So yeah,
right.
Which actually is the reason why he dies later on, because his wound's not healed up properly.
Right. Plus the fall too. He like falls down like a and it opens up the wound again.
And he dies. But he's been there since the very first mission.
Yeah, the first Modern Warfare. Yeah, he was the character you played as in the first Modern Warfare.
Yeah, and he's also the character you play as at the end of the second Modern Warfare, and you play as him quite a bit in. No, you don't really play him in 3. You play as.
He's not really playable in 3 for obvious reasons.
Yeah, but then he dies, and so he leaves all that plot thread left open.
Right.
So you can do that. It's dangling plot threads. Like I'll bring it up again. Red Dead 2. Arthur Morgan dies at 79% of the with like the main missions, story missions. You have like 100% completion. He dies at 79%. There's still nearly 21% of the game story missions left.
Yeah,
dangling
that was a long one.
Yeah. So you can do it. It's like with Arthur Morgan, him and Mary, they never get back together, but there's still that longing and stuff, and that never gets really resolved. There's yeah.
Yeah, and then what these when you do trope talks and media analysis is that people forget who do that. Is you are oversaturated. You see all of these things, all of these movies and series, good and bad. You read all of these books, so you see all these patterns repeated over and over and over again, and that is not the standard. I don't want to say consumer, but the standard person that goes through life and reads the story here, watches the movie there, and if you, especially then you have children all the time that come into this world and I haven't seen or read any of these things yet ever, and for them it won't be an overused trope. They see this the first time, and when you read. When you're oversaturated with all of this and you read Wheel of Time, you will be bored by some of the scenes. If it's the first big story you ever read in your life, then some of these scenes have an immense impact. You can't predict, especially when you read this as a teenager, you can't predict that a certain character will live or die necessarily. Because some characters already did die, that you thought, this is a great character, I love this character. No, he's gone. And
plus, I was going to say, plus you can also tell if they're going to come back or not, depending on how they die too. Like if you read and you're like, okay, this guy's definitely going to come back. Like depending on how they die.
Yeah, and even just the brink of death scene can or storyline can do that. Like in the beginning you have one of the main trio of characters, Matt. He comes across a cursed dagger at some point, and it basically does the Frodo Baggins decline with him, slowly draining the life out of him in that case. And they need to get to the mage city in order to heal him, to get the curse broken. And on the way there, he's declining more and more. He gets a bit lunatic. He's about to, like, the dagger's taking over control slowly because of the evil spirit that resides within. And at the end, it's even not clear whether they can even heal him. And that they say it seems beyond their capabilities. They just do what they can. And you really don't know whether this is going to work, because other important characters, like the replacement father figure, an old bard, was killed in order to protect the protagonist, the yet inexperienced protagonists, from being killed by monsters that came into town. He played diversion and sacrificed himself so that they could escape, and they're crying as they're running away because they don't want to lose this guy, but they have to. And then you have the next character on the brink of death, and he already main character already lost his father, had to abandon him, but he was kind of sort of stable, and it just goes on and on and on. And that's why you can't tell in the first books who's gonna live or die, especially if it's a new story for you. Everything has stakes. Even if some character returns later on, maybe because you didn't see the actual death, but it's implied hard enough that you know, okay, this character's gone, most likely, possibly. This character's definitely gone for a while, even if he survived, and that's just that. That's just it. If you're new to these things, because you come into this world, you haven't experienced anything. Overdone tropes are not overdone for you. I just hope that in that case you do not come across all this trash stuff that just drains out all these good tropes, if you will, because you can use them in a good manner. But that you come across the good stories.
I'm trying to think of the most original or the first one I can think of, like in history. This is probably wrong, but I was thinking of the plays by Puccini, because in most of his plays, there are all kinds of deaths and tragedies. That's kind of the point of watching Puccini, to get a good cry. And the most famous one I can think of is Tosca, which is right at the end, where everyone believes, or the main characters believe, that the guns are full of blanks, and the person who's getting shot at the firing squad is going to fake death, and that turns into to be real, and the main character ends up committing suicide as a result. But that's the whole drama of the whole thing. It's a big love affair of trying to get this person of power, this police chief, to stop pursuing this woman, and the man she loves is obviously controlled by this police person, and it's an opera though. So it's all about the impact of the scenes and the music. So you don't need a lot of believability to think that a firing squad might all have a bunch of fake bullets, and then you realize, wait, they're all in control of under the police chief, and they all use real bullets. So that's it. That's all you need to know. It's like, oh, it makes sense, and then boom, she's so distraught, she kills herself. And
I remember. I was going to say, I remember I was reading the Jurassic Park book novel, and they killed. Well, they didn't say it, but it was assumed that Jeff Goldblum's character Ian Malcolm had died at the end of the book. Alan Grant asks, "Hey, what happened to Malcolm?" And then I think it was who was it? It was Muldoon. He just like shakes his head. And then in the second book, he's alive, and he actually kind of states, he's like, "Well, I'd like to state I was partially dead," And he's like, "I'm sure everybody was celebrating," and he was being an ass about it. But it was so confusing for me because I was a lot younger when I read it, and I had seen the movie already, so it was very confusing for me.
But, wait a minute, because two characters who are meant to die, Muldoon and Gennaro, both survived the novel.
Yep, and Hammond dies.
Yeah. Hammond gets
the book was a lot different than the movie. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's really violent. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
But yeah.
Good read, but it's a good read.
It is. Yeah. It is.
It doesn't make sense from my perspective to kill off such a useful source of plot. This entire section is.
No,
you could do that. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I've just literally gave an example of the main character dying like 3/4 of a way through.
Yes, with
a game.
With Game of Thrones, that is the instigation of other plots. So that's fine.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Game of Thrones spoiler, so if you've somehow managed to avoid those, skip ahead. Consider the now infamous death of Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. Now, George R.R. Martin spent a considerable...
this is the one I'm more concerned with, the first season, not Jon Snow's death.
Amount of effort creating a universe in which anyone could die, no matter how much we liked him. There was magic, but it wasn't your standard D&D spend a diamond to res your friend kind of magic. People only ever came back from the dead as zombies, or in the best case scenario, as screwed up, diminished versions of their former selves. Most people just died, and it didn't matter how central they were to the narrative.
No, we learned about the red priests or the red ladies who could bring people back by praying to their god. So lots of forms of rebirth.
Or how unfinished personal arcs were. Life isn't fair, and neither is death. It was almost a running gag that every character you loved would inevitably end up dying horribly because this is Game of Thrones. But despite all of that, when Jon Snow got super murdered, about half the fanbase just kind of straight up didn't buy it. I saw theories ranging from he'll come back as an ice zombie, to that one witch lady can revive him, to hey, it's not guaranteed that he's bled out yet, maybe he'll just be fine, to obviously Jon Snow just keeps a lot of jam jars under that cloak, and about a million others. It didn't matter that it was a show that had never brought anyone back as more than a shambling, corpseified monster. Jon Snow was important enough that people...
What was the name of that mercenary gang that did the first resurrection?
No.
To be brutally honest, I dropped out of
light.
Game of Thrones after the first series, so...
I know. This was like 4th season, I think. I can't recall. But it was the guy with the eye patch. He had all these scars. And the other guy was a priest. And every time he died, the priest would revive him by praying to Rayler, or whatever the god's name was, the god of fire. Or the god of light.
Oh, right, okay.
Anyway, it did happen. So I either they didn't watch this or they're not aware of it.
Weren't convinced that stabbed a dozen times in the
chest
would be enough
George
to kill him.
R. Martin actually say in the books that he was going to bring Jon Snow back?
They were pointing to the formula that they came up with, which was Jon or Ray. What was the Targaryen brother or father or whatever, plus the sister of whomever equals Jon Snow, and he was the king that was or the prince that was promised, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was the theory. Aegon plus whatever. Yeah, can't recall.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was what George was believing.
I don't want it.
Yeah, but that's what George was actually wanting to do.
Came from it.
Problem is, he hasn't done anything for 10 years. So.
Yes.
Personally, I had a meta reason to not buy that he was gone for good. At the time, they hadn't yet resolved the mystery of his true parentage. Such a big deal had been made over the meaning of R plus L equals J, and there were so many conspiracy theories, and in-universe his heritage and parentage were explicitly suspicious. But if he was dead, there would be no point in resolving that subplot because it wouldn't matter to any of the characters left alive. I didn't think George R.R. Martin would let such an important mystery suddenly lose all momentum, so I figured they'd bring him back somehow. And they did, obviously. But the point is, even if you've carefully crafted a universe in which death is pretty much irreversible and you're not...
I don't think it was obvious. I really don't. There's so many characters that could have taken his role.
Easily just left it, yeah.
Yeah.
Afraid to use it doesn't mean you can actually pull off every character death without losing your audience's suspension of disbelief. Now, in order to counterbalance this kind of problem, there are a lot of frequently used writer strategies, both for fake and real deaths, that theoretically help make them feel more convincing. Unfortunately, a lot of those strategies no longer work because they've been used so much for fake-out deaths that nobody buys them as real deaths. For
just want to mention, it also helped with the Red Woman at first not believing that it could even be done.
Yeah,
she had to meet the mercenaries to be shown that that someone could be brought back from the dead, and that this one random guy has this power, but she thought she didn't. She was limiting herself by her own misconceptions of her own faith, which I found a bit interesting and hilarious.
Logically, a character falling from an enormous height or getting disintegrated should make them well and truly dead. But thanks to the number of conveniently soft rivers at the bottom of cliffs, conveniently placed branches to grab onto, and a frequent tendency for major villains to fall from high places and then inexplicably show up again later with no justification, the general rule is that falling off a cliff is no longer considered a viable threat. The disintegration thing is a little subtler, but the main thing is that a weapon that makes your character vanish entirely might not actually disintegrate them at all, since a lot of sci-fi weapons like that are secretly teleporters.
Okay, she's just randomly choosing deaths that she didn't like, whatever.
Also, you never seen with the Joker there as well. Was literally the final time you saw the Joker until the Return of the Joker movie. They pretty much until they were making out that was his actual thing. I know they said at the end of Mad Love it was he was still alive, but they pretty much made out that was it until they changed it with Return of the Joker. So
on the other side, villains tend to have more survivability anyway. Whether they're mundane people or supernatural beings.
It's the bloody Joker. You can't know. The guy's been eaten by sharks, fallen down chimney shocks.
The Joker will never die.
I only pretended to be disintegrated.
I remember two stories in Star Trek Next Generation, one with Ensign Ro and Geordi, and the other one with a bunch of away team members, just random guys that, what's his name, had to go into the matter stream and pull them because he saw things in there.
Oh, Barclay
had to go. Yeah, so there's 2 episodes.
The teleporter episode.
Yeah, the first one was literally the death. They were mourning the death of these 2 officers, and they had to figure out how to get people to notice them by blowing up a phaser or whatever. And the other one was Barclay going crazy because he didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
So there's.
Well, I'm just trying to think of.
This is the actual plot of these episodes. So there's nothing wrong with these storylines of people believing other characters are dead and going, wait a second, are they really dead? Are they? Because in this one where Batman dies or gets disintegrated, he's actually transported, and Batman's like, there's no residue, there's no atoms, there's nothing. That doesn't make sense.
Wait, where do you mean in Final Crisis?
This was the animated show. I don't know what.
This one, because Superman gets flung into the future with, is it Vandal Savage? Is that his name?
Yes, that's his name. I forget the.
Yeah, because the
name of the episode. No, it was Toyman that sent him forward in time.
Yes, but he meets up with Vandal Savage.
He meets Vandal Savage in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, and all that, and Vandal Savage sends him back. He goes, unfortunately, we will still be enemies in the past, and this future will never happen. It's kind of a touching episode, really, because it's like this guy who's a bad guy is like, no, I've realised I don't want to win. If this is my victory, I'm glad you beat me.
Yeah, and Vandal Savage of all people too.
Yeah, so he gets sent back, but yeah, Batman's like, yeah, this doesn't make sense, and he goes like, we've seen weirder stuff happen. So, hasn't Batman had to sing karaoke to get Wonder Woman to be turned?
That was later. That was an Unlimited.
Oh, later. Ah, right, okay. But it's.
Well, I was gonna say, it's like in that same episode, Superman comes back, and it's like, by the way, the subplot is that Lobo tries to replace him, and it's funny as hell.
Yeah.
But at the end of the episode, it's like Deadshot out of nowhere thinks he can do something when Superman comes back. Yeah, right.
Yeah. But yeah, these character deaths, it's like the audience knows it's a fake out, but the characters don't. There's always that balance.
That's part of the plot. That's part of the mystery. I mean, that's what the basis of the story is on. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, because it's not the deaths. It's that how do the other characters solve this problem? That's the intrigue.
Or time. Once one writer uses the disintegration teleporter switcheroo trick, it ruins disintegration for the audience. Although you can still make it convincing if it shows their skeleton or they into sand or something. But the general rule is, if you can't show your audience a body, they can't pass for dead, since there are way too many ways for them to just show up again. It barely even requires an explanation anymore. So show your audience a body. Even better, show them a body and have someone confirm that body is super dead. This still isn't a guarantee that they're actually dead, since sometimes that someone is tricking you into thinking they're dead for whatever reason, and any fictional universe with healing mojo or magic bloodlines or the power of friendship or the power of love or super advanced tech or even just kinda advanced tech will be able to fix a corpseified character with a little bit of hand-waving. But still, if you don't show a body, they won't buy the death.
It wasn't a hand-wave, though.
You don't need to show. Okay, you don't need to show the body. That's a dumb rule. What you need is proper explanation for your resurrection machine or your magic or whatever. That's all you need. The body is just like, oh, they are dead. No shit. We've figured that out. Now, how do you bring them back if that's what you want to do, writer? And then they have to figure that out. That's it.
Also, with the Robocop thing, Murphy is dead.
Yes.
It's just residual memories that come back with Robocop. So it's...
Yeah, plus he gets shot in the head.
Yeah, he gets shot all over by phallic-shaped shotguns.
Oh, God.
But...
but
yeah, so that wasn't that. I know I had to. Sorry. But like what Smud says, it's got to be. You've got to have the right stuff to explain how these people come back, and sometimes it's not. Like with Robocop, it's not a fake out death. He really is dead. Yeah. It's they just had that corpse and they used his body. So Yeah. We can continue. I've said my piece.
Like, where'd he get shot? Yes.
Well, yeah, where'd he get shot? If you watch that scene, where'd he get shot? He didn't get shot in one of his knees, I think. So that's about it.
No, just make that joke with people that don't know jack about RoboCops. Like, where exactly did he get shot? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just point to like the image of him all in here.
Yes.
In other words, yes.
This is another one that's important for fake-out deaths, because it can be easy to make a fake death happen uncharacteristically quickly and easily, regardless of how tough the character is, since it's just a matter of getting the death out of the way so the plot can progress. When you're leading up to the character death, put us inside that character's head. Show us their fear, the last thing they think of, whatever.
This is... Okay, guys, listen. In Mass Effect 2, Shepard died. He was a puddle on the ground. In episode 3, or Mass Effect 3, his brain was preserved in the helmet. It's like, that's good, but now you have 1,000 other things to explain.
There's tons of helmets.
That does tell us how good N7 armor is, though.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't.
It was just the helmet.
No, because we still find the helmet on the planet. No, because we still find the helmet on the planet. What did they scoop him out like ice cream? What did they do? How does it work? Does it work?
Yara gives him his helmet back. Remember? How morbid would it be if Shepard like holds the helmet, he turns it over, and he goes, "Ooh, I'm still in here." Ugh.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense because
his actual head drops out?
Why would they take the helmet off?
No, just like a blood splatter in there.
Yeah.
There's
Smud, you're right. Why would they take him out of the helmet and then leave the helmet?
Yeah, that's not. You don't want to touch anything. You want to be very freaking careful with this supposed...
I mean, you'd also want to know how what the hell that helmet is made of in the first place to survive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining some Cerberus person going down, shaking the helmet till Shepard's head plops out. Going, got it! Found it, guys! Don't worry!
Into a cooler.
No. You have the guy pick up the helmet, and he comes back to his buddies, and they're like, "Where's Shepard?" And he's like, "Right here."
We've got it all in here. And just the head slowly drops out.
This is all we need. This is all we need.
And also, this bit she's about to talk about, what were her last thoughts? What were the characters' last thoughts? I think most of them, before they die, are probably going, "Oh, bugger." That's about it. That's about literally all your... Fuck. No. Oh, crap.
I think Shepard's last thoughts were, "Oh, this is gonna suck."
Yeah. We're not gonna get a, did I leave the stove on? As he's hurtling towards the planet.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot to take the bins out. Oh, well, can this day get any worse?
Or flashbacks are running through their head. Do they believe they're about to die, or was it a surprise?
Why is this relevant?
Terms with it, and how hard are they willing to fight against it? If they're not the type to give up easily, don't let them. Although be warned, sometimes stories will go way too far in this direction and indirectly convince the audience that the character's going to be okay because no real death scene would ever be overblown.
Okay, so she's talking about another trope where time is like paused, and we're in like sort of some dreamscape or some mental scape of the character, and they're like contemplating stuff. And you're like, that's annoying. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, what was it? The in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, what's his name in the first series? Who teaches JoJo Harmon? What's his name? Who puts salt on his sandwich?
That was that Zappelli or whatever his name is.
Yeah. When he dies, the episode where he dies is literally just a flashback of him being told if he learns stuff, he'll die in this exact moment. And it's like, half the episode's flashbacks, then the other half of the episode is him being cut in two, and as he's cut in two, he's literally in half, him telling JoJo that he knew that he was going to die at this point. And it's so overdrawn. I'm just like, okay, we get it. He's going to die. Can we just get on with it now? But he does die. It's not a fake out. But, yeah, it does get really cheesy, that does.
This is the reaction to a late-ish episode of Fairy Tail, where a supposed suicide mission was preceded by about 5 minutes of flashbacks of all the good times and conversations about how maybe this wasn't such a bad way for our story to end, and at least we're together, and after spending nearly half the episode convincing us that they were super gonna die, you guys, they got saved at the last second by a guy with teleportation powers. It's a very fine line between just the right amount of pre-dying angst and ham-fisted knife twisting, as we recall that one time in season 1 where I said I
can't believe people are getting angry over anime tropes. It's like, it's a cartoon, guys. It's, come on, let it go. It's not a big deal.
No. Anime does so many weird things, though. That's.
Have you seen Hawk? Have you seen the DC cartoon movies, the Superman and JLA things?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Those things are so rushed in their writing, so sloppy, full. It's only tropes. It's the writing of a 6-year-old, and which completely baffles me, because you have versions like the what was it? The one where they do the I think it was one of the last ones. What's his name? DC Thanos. Darkseid. Yeah. Where they go into this basically Earth is taken over and they fight back against him, la-di-da. And when they fight on Darkseid's homeworld, the heroes they get torn apart. You see intestines flying out and of the female heroes, and it's really this gore, there's blood, but the writing is still that of a 6-year-old. So if you do the adult visuals, why don't you up the writing? Why is it this contrived rough crap?
It's easier to do adult visuals and adult writing. Everyone can put blood on the screen.
Yeah, and then keep the intestines away and keep it for the kids. Then because the writing is on the level for kids.
There was a Suicide Squad animated movie. I forget the name.
Assault on Arkham.
No. It was the one where they're looking for this. I might have been. They're looking for this card. If you die while you're holding the card, you instantly get sent to heaven, regardless of what you did.
Road to Hell.
Yeah. They have the Anti-Flash character in there. He gets shot through the head. He takes his mask off. There's a gaping hole in his head.
No. That hole in his head was from the Flashpoint.
From Flashpoint,
right?
Where Thomas Wayne shoots him in the head.
He's got a literal freaking hole in his head. You can see right through it.
Yeah,
and they even ask him dude, how are you alive? He's like, I'm vibrating my body or something like that.
Yeah, this is courtesy of Batman. It's like
the Flashpoint.
He's just expending. He's just expending.
How are you walking and talking?
He's just expending what little connection he has left to the negative speed force just to keep himself alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the thing that, and I'm sorry, this sounds like a whataboutism. Yeah, with all the stuff anime does, especially the bad anime. If we focus on the good anime, because I think we should, because the DC cartoons should be the pinnacle of what US media culture has to offer. And when I look at good anime and look at DC cartoon movies, I feel insulted by DC cartoon movies.
Why?
Well, the original lot.
I think it's absolute crap. Well, it's so fucking contrived. The time Doomsday comes to the planet, and the naming of Doomsday is so ham-fisted. Did you really just do this? Are we in the 60s?
Is this the new 52 movie?
Wait, the what of Doomsday? Wait a minute, the what of Doomsday?
The naming
when Doomsday comes to Earth the first time, it's in the Death of Superman movie, and you have the monster doesn't have a name yet. Just fighting. Eventually, Superman. They're waiting for Superman to come to the rescue to help, and Lois is already in a helicopter doing the coverage, and she then does this really contrived sentence of hoping that Superman comes to help against this referring to the monster, this doomsday. Yeah, so she's not talking about the day that this is, but she is naming the monster. She is naming the monster Doomsday. So out of just like that.
But this is part of the after they start doing this wasn't the DCAU. This is the New 52 sort of era of stuff, which is a completely different.
The animated movies,
hellhole.
Yes.
Yeah, completely different hellhole. So when you mean the DCAU, that's the DCAU comprises Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, and Batman Beyond with the Justice League stuff. The New 52 stuff's like this Death of Superman, which is a lot worse.
Yeah, it's just.
But yeah, I get
your point. It's not just this one instance; it's just an example. It just keeps doing stuff like this, and it's no.
The thing is, going back to the trope of character deaths, you can do this whole build up of them trying to, they think they're going to die. That's really good, and they get saved at the last minute. You're like, yeah, they got out of it. It's not bad. It's just how you do
so
it.
it's a question of how do you pull it off? How do you animate it? If you make bad cuts during that, that's sloppy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, I think we can continue with the video.
Let's go.
Always be by your side, but now I won't be able to. In contrast, one of the best examples I've seen recently with just the right amount of knife twisting was actually fairly understated, and didn't even include any flashbacks. I won't give story specifics about which show or character I'm talking about, because it's a fantastic scene that hasn't made it to the show yet, and I absolutely refuse to be the one to spoil it for anyone watching it. Like my brother, who watches these videos, watches that show, and
then don't bring it up.
Spoiler warnings. But basically, this character is fighting someone way outside of his league in order to protect someone else.
No.
Seconds from death. Now, he's a very clever fighter, and his brain usually goes a mile a minute during battles, but his inner monologue in the most desperate, brutal panel of that battle is just him, barely coherent, mentally apologizing to his mentor and his mom. He stopped trying to think of a way to win or even survive, and it drives home incredibly effectively just how dead he thinks he is. Anyway, the bottom line is, for your character death to feel convincing, there needs to be some kind of fanfare. And by fanfare, I don't mean like high drama necessarily, it just needs sufficient stuff happening, whether that's internal or external, before or after the dying happens.
So, sufficient stuff, not the greatest explanation when you're telling someone what to write.
Yeah, but you cannot bring up an example and then say, I'm not going to explain what this example is because of spoilers. It's a video about character deaths. If you're watching this, you should expect spoilers. You showed spoilers for Game of Thrones. So why is this thing different? Oh, because you liked it?
She likes it more. She likes it more and she wants you to have the experience.
Yeah, but I don't know. But she's not told me what it's from. So I don't know what this is. I don't know what she's on about.
Yep.
I don't even know what show this is. So how would I know if it's... Oh, it's in the description of the video. Right, so that's still spoiling it for anyone who can read. The only people who aren't getting spoiled are people who are dyslexic. So, okay.
Or blind.
Or blind.
It's not good advertisement.
You can't do that. The best example is I'm not going to show this example. Your Honor, objection.
I'm not gonna quote it. You must find it for yourself, or else.
Yeah. That's literally my client is innocent. I have evidence, but I'm not going to show you, Your Honor. You're going to have to look for it yourself.
Yeah, it's like I have the perfect recipe for meatballs, but I'm not going to tell you. You have to figure it out you're on your own.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is, I mean, what she has listed is not inherently a bad idea, but I just don't like her lack of understanding of what she's saying. It's like, it needs more stuff. You're like, no, that's silly. Be specific. What is internal fanfare? The character's own perspective. Okay, a dead person, a dying person. After they die, they have their spirit talk to you. Like, what's going on here?
when they're about to die, they get
like,
flashes of their life before them.
Yeah.
These are bad ideas if you want to have like time suddenly be an issue in your story where you just pause. Now I can contemplate existence for a split second. A lot of people don't like that. Like believable stories where actually believable characters do things in believable ways, not I'm going to stop time for 5 minutes and contemplate my life up to this point, and then I get shot in the head.
You're probably wondering how we got here. Eventually, flashback to this.
Like the bullets halfway penetrating their brain. Oh, I remember how I got to this point. Like, oh god.
Yeah. You probably question yourself why a guy like me is in a situation like this. Well, it all began one summer in 1967, and it's just literally...
Jesus, 67.
Yeah.
This doesn't matter. It needs to be addressed, because if it's not, the death will feel too cheap. And while that works fine for side characters, if you're killing or pretending to kill a main character, the last thing you want it to feel like is cheap. This also means you have to make sure the other characters react properly in the aftermath. And again, this is true whether or not the character's really permanently dead. One of the more subtle tells that a character will likely be coming back is that the other characters stall in the grieving process. If someone dies and the writer intends to have them not be dead but wants to play up the sad as much as possible, then they can have the other characters totally falling apart and unable to handle themselves without the totally dead character. This is because as soon as that character comes back, they can all go back to normal no problem. So from a plot perspective, the writer loses nothing by making them all fall apart completely in the meantime. But this can clue your...
I'm not following this. Obviously, people are going to be sad when someone dies.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Yeah. Watch a good watch a war movie. It tends to happen that you think your comrade is dead, you don't see him anymore, you have to abandon him, and then you reunite it later on unexpectedly.
Well,
and it just gives you more. It just gives you life energy back.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Well, it's like this movie I watched, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. You're going to have to go look it up yourself. It does really well with the fake out death, but you've got to look it up by yourself. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and plus things don't really go back to normal either. Like,
no,
it's like you're looking at this person like, yeah, you died. We were gonna bury you.
Yeah,
now
we did bury you. Again. What the hell? What the hell did we put in that suit? What is in that casket? It's like, we filled out all the paperwork.
You can't just act like it never happened.
Yeah.
You know?
It's oh well.
Reader in that the character has to come back, because the feeling is that the only way for things to get fixed is for that character to come back. Now, as a result, this can actually be a very useful trick if the character really is dead, or if they're alive but not coming back for a long while in plot time, because this lets you discuss in-universe the grieving process and the internal hope that maybe the character's not dead after all. If your characters stall in the grieving process and then have to pull themselves out because the person they're missing isn't coming back, you get some seriously quality sad and some cool character strengthening moments. Now, all of these difficulties basically happen when you're trying to kill off a central protagonist. Killing off secondary protagonists is a lot easier to pull off since it's not as implausible for them to die. But conveniently, minor character deaths can be just as tragic as a main character death if you play it right. For a well-worn example, spoilers for every version of Full Metal Alchemist are about to happen, so heads up.
Hold on!
We don't care. We're fine.
Hold on! I'm gonna spoil this. Why can you spoil Full Metal Alchemist? I've not seen it. Thanks for ruining that show for me.
It's anime. You don't want it anyway.
Regardless, why is the best example that could defend her point the one that she won't show?
And why is it not Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
Yeah, but why also is she now spoiling another program? What is so good about that? It's in the description. What is it? What's actually in that description? I want to know what show she thinks is so amazing that it shouldn't be spoiled.
Well, one of the main premises of Full Metal Alchemist was bringing people back from the dead, so that makes sense. It's just how funny how some animes have this in their universe, and it's no big deal. Like I just watched the third film of Fate Stay Night, the Heaven's Feel route, and the main character dies right at the end, and then within minutes he's brought back to life with almost little to no exposition. You're just like, okay. Sure. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Apparently so. So, yeah.
But I'm just baffling that she's spoiling all these things. Apart from that one show, for some reason.
Anyway, not a big deal for us.
Hughes is convincing, tragic, and the consequences are felt right up until the end of the series. Hughes is by far the most lovable character in the early series. He's got a lovely wife, an adorable daughter that means the world to him, and is taken in the two main characters for the duration of their time in Central and treats them almost like they're his own kids. He's great friends with the otherwise hard-edged Colonel Roy Mustang and overall adds a feeling of levity to every scene he's in. But despite being overall a totally wacky, friendly dude, he's also very smart, and underneath all the silliness is surprisingly confident in a straight fight. If you look carefully in the early episodes, you can actually see that he's got at least one throwing knife on his belt at all times, which becomes relevant when he gets attacked in the lead up to his death scene and turns out to be an absolute beast at throwing knives. The lead up to his death scene is long and tense, since he's just used those charming smarts of his to uncover a huge country-spanning conspiracy that ends up being the plot of the entire show. In an attempt to silence him before he can get the word out, he's been attacked and injured by two immortal homunculi, and he's trying to reach a phone where he can call Mustang, the only guy he trusts, without it being overheard by the very people behind the conspiracy. It looks like he's made it, and then it turns out the person escorting him isn't a trusted coworker, but instead a shape-shifting homunculus about to murder him. The homunculus transforms into his beloved wife, and Maes, true to his character, can't even bring himself to fight back to save his own life if it means hurting her, and subsequently gets shot. He dies, there's a funeral, his wife is devastated, his daughter doesn't understand the concept of death yet and keeps asking how he's supposed to get any work done if they bury him, everyone in the military is shaken, the Elric brothers freak out and mourn, and Roy Mustang sets off on a 4-season-long quest for revenge on whoever or whatever it was that murdered his best friend. Nothing is the same after Maes Hughes dies. Now, another thing that makes Maes Hughes' death very interesting is the way it's handled when Mustang finally does track down his shapeshifting murderer. Now, obviously, Mustang's entire motivation is revenge, but over the course of their confrontation, it becomes clear that Mustang has long since come to terms with Hughes' death, but it's done nothing to diminish his desire for revenge. While he's chasing down the homunculus and setting him on fire a whole bunch, they try their old trick of shapeshifting into a loved one and take the form of none other than Mustang's old bestie, Maes Hughes, in the hopes that it'll stop Mustang from setting them on fire so much. When Mustang sees his old friend miraculously hale and healthy again, he actually sets him on fire more, because he knows Maes Hughes is dead, and his killer wearing his image is the ultimate insult. This is cool because Roy recognizes the fact that Hughes is dead and that murdering this guy won't bring him back, but it doesn't matter to him at this point. All that matters is the revenge itself, not the reason for the revenge.
So why are we talking about
revenge? It's not revenge in this case, it's justice.
Why? This has nothing to do with character death and rebirth or whatever she was talking about before.
Yeah, this is now a completely different trope. This is a completely different thing.
It's a side character, I guess. Hughes. I can't recall the All Brotherhood as I watched the original. So, meh. But the same argument applies if it's talking about a main character. So, I don't see what the big deal aside from the drama associated with killing a character. But she just shifted lanes.
Okay,
she went from
Hughes has died, and then it sets up the plot to continue. Cool, excellent.
We have character motivation to get revenge or justice, or whatever. It's fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, why is this?
Everything that happens after means nothing about the character death. It's a completely different trope.
This is
a quest for revenge.
It is in part because they're going after the homunculi who are in charge of everything, so they're the cause of all the problems. So it makes sense to go after them anyway. So in that regard, it's a neatly connected story or subplot. Great, cool, fine. Is this a good example? Is it bad? Like, what is? We started off saying these are character deaths. Then we spent most of the video on these are character resurrections, and then we're back to character deaths just because Fullmetal Alchemist, Brotherhood.
It's not even like we're on character deaths. We're literally on. This death allowed a really good quest for a revenge plot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay. What's that got to do with the character death, though? That's completely different. We're onto a different trope here.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Alex Halo.
Well, it's only about that is only the part about Maes because he's been a long established and lovable character all throughout, and then he's perma-gone.
Mm-hmm. Oh well.
Here is Alex Halo. They skipped the explanation. Shir was saved by Ilya using third magic, which controls souls. And Toko from Garden of Sinners builds him a new body. Okay, that's nice to know.
What?
That's the ending to Heaven's Feel Part 3, the movie that just came out in the States. And
Oh, cool.
They just skip over all these details. Very silly. Very
Oh, right.
They also didn't explain when Shiro has swords protruding from his skin for no reason. You're like, where did that come from? Every time he gets cut, this sword just pops out of his arm. You're like, what the frickin' hell is this? It's a porcupine. How did this happen?
Okay.
Oh, anime is freaking weird, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, anime just gets weirder and weirder, and more people get going. Yeah, just watch some more. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching here? I'm having a good laugh, but what the fuck? I'm sat there with like my face. I've just got an open mouth, just like, what the? Yeah, sure, go on then. I guess this is what we're doing now.
It takes work to cool him down and get him off the murder train so he can actually process his grief properly. This is actually very important. Once you got your character convincingly dead, you have to properly address the consequences. A lot of the time...
No, it's a death. Dead is dead. Yeah. That's it. We don't need to make it convincing. In fear of them coming back to life.
It not necessarily has to have...
What a strange consideration. This person died, but there's the chance they might come back. Therefore, to make it even worthwhile, give them a plot. It's like, thank you, Writer 101. Gee, I didn't know we had to give characters plots because someone died.
Yeah.
And there's the fear they might come back to life. Like, what? They're watching way too much anime. This is ridiculous.
Watch the slice of life. There's not that much of this trope present.
Watch anything else other than just constant anime. Just anything else. Watch the fucking gardening channel for like 15 minutes a day. Just break the 100-hour-long anime streams. just anything.
As said, it's not just an anime thing. It's in all the other things as well.
We get that. But what I'm saying is, the people making these points keep bringing up anime as like
right, and
like it's almost like it's the only thing that matters.
This is a bad example because in the story or universe of Fullmetal Alchemist, the brothers are on a quest to bring back one of their bodies as the result of the death of their mother they wanted to bring back. So bringing anyone back to life is super impossible. And it's virtually, you can't do it. So you're never going to be worried about, I'll just bring them back. Because if they do, it'll ruin the entire setting.
And part of the whole thing is that people have been trying throughout the centuries in that world. And they've always failed. Horribly so. It's not just that it doesn't work, it's that it does horrible things when you try.
Right. Like there's an entire one of the first chapters of the manga is the sewing life alchemist who brings his soul of his daughter back into a bird or something like that. So this is good for the story because the brothers want to learn about how to do this because that's their goal. But at the same time, it's also considered a crime. You can't go around. This is illegal. You cannot do this.
The guy who makes chimeras, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Didn't he fuse his daughter with a dog?
It was a bird or a doll. I can't remember. I think it was a bird because there's feathers all over the place.
In the anime, it was a dog.
Oh, okay.
It was and it was to make them to make chimeras that can talk. That was so he could get more funding. He was running out of money again, and the first one was his wife, and so now he was a single father. But of course, the truth wasn't known, and then because he was running out of money again, he did the same with his daughter. And that was all very, very creepy.
Especially relatively minor ones, are kind of glossed over. Sure, tragic and all that, but within a week or two, everyone's moved on with their lives. But that is still a dead character who isn't coming back. Anyone who liked them or even knew them is going to be affected. They don't have to be affected that much, but there should still be something. Or, if they're not affected, maybe specifically address why that is and whether they feel like they should be.
Okay, now you're just rambling on about other things. It's not...
Yeah.
when you kill a character, have some consequences. Yes, when you do anything, have some consequences in your story, please.
Not everyone has to react to the death of some character.
Oh no, not Squaddy 427. He was gonna retire at the end of the week. Oh no.
Yeah, and so, some characters just stoically move forward, or it's just okay, but I have to move on. It's especially in war stories. You don't have time to mourn. You don't have time to be affected by your best buddy's death in the trenches, because if you do, you're dead very quickly, and your other comrades are gonna be dead too very quickly. You have no time for that.
Yeah.
Affected but aren't. It'd be easy to forget it in the age of Grimdark, but death is still like a really major thing, and it should always have a consequence.
Sometimes you have to save your reactions until after all the action has commenced.
Hold on, question. What the fuck is Grimdark?
It's a genre.
Oh, right, okay.
Warhammer 40k, for example.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Right.
So it's dystopian. It's super violent. It's
right.
Everything is hell.
Yeah.
She just said it, and I was like, wait, what? The Age of Grimdark. I was like, wait, I've never heard that before. And then it's like, oh, right. Okay.
Oh, I must have missed that she said that.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. Okay. Otherwise, I would never have said that word.
Yeah. All right, almost done.
Almost done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Really?
This got 1,000 or 1,300,000 views. Amazing. Okay. Good stuff.
Right.
Because it's done by a cute anime avatar.
I guess.
Nice voice.
That was pretty silly. I don't know how this is considered good writing advice.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, it's...
I think she should have used the actual tropes that are common, not rebirth as a main one. That's sort of silly. If you want to do rebirth, focus on rebirthing. Focus on resurrection. Focus on the science, the magic, whatever. Great. If you want to focus on death, talk about why death is relevant. Why do you kill off main characters and how do you replace them? If you're going to kill off main characters. She didn't even address that. She just says, well, you can do it this way. It's like, and then what do you do? This is not very effective for teaching a writer to write the death of a character and why. And we could watch, as we said, Babylon 5, other parts where characters that are main characters die off, and how that's handled and why it's handled poorly. So, look at Denise Crosby from Star Trek. One episode, she's gone, and they bring her back.
Skin of Evil.
Yeah, they bring her back because alternate timelines, whatever, of that other episode of Star Trek where it's an alternate mirror universe where she's still alive.
Yeah.
No, it's a universe where because the Enterprise C didn't get destroyed because of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff.
Right.
Yep.
So the War of the Klingons still exists.
Yeah, so you can get away with the explanation for why things are the way they are, not the death and the character moments around the death. It's like, that's writing. That's fine. That's normal. If you're going to kill a character, give us reasons why it works and why it doesn't and how to do it properly. Saying it's a trope is just like, yeah, there's patterns. And then rambling on about comic books and anime is like, that's, okay. How about daytime TV? How about ER dramas? How about police procedural dramas?
Yeah.
How about all these other genres where death works properly? Because it's part of the narrative. Like a murder mystery, that would be a pretty important topic if you're going to talk about murder or killing. That'd be a big topic to cover. I don't know. There's so many things. Death is the biggest topic. It's in 90% of every story you ever read because it's so prevalent. It's always on the writer's minds. It's always on the reader's minds. It's always on the character's minds. And it could happen at any time. If you don't have death, you can get a lot of immortal, boring people.
Then you really have removed stakes.
Right. I mean, there's Greg Egan's stories in his 7-parter where everyone's immortal. They have artificial bodies if they so choose, and they can swap between. And it's just like, okay, that's boring. And some people want to die because they just get tired of it. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that was I don't know.
That was a video. Yeah.
That was a video which I would not put my my literary brain around. That was sort of weak for me. And she's not a bad presenter. I think the tropes she presented were fine. It's just the reasons and the examples weren't very good. I want people to focus on their topics and give me information on those topics, not jump around. Anyway, anything else you guys want to talk about? You're cool?
Yeah, Hawk. Right now it's like no more anime, please.
No, I've just got up her video to see what she's on about with like the example that she didn't talk about. Oh, it's Attack on Titan. Oh
God.
Really?
What? That is weak.
Spoil Attack. What? Oh.
That is weak. Because Attack on Titan is so artificially overdrawn.
Oh no, hold on. Sorry, no,
It's
that's
like
one example I didn't think to include. Hold on, bro. If you've examples used roughly in order. Oh, super secret example. My Hero Academia manga, chapter 76.
Hurrah.
Okay.
Really? You didn't want to spoil that, but you spoiled other stuff.
It's all the shonen anime.
Wait, you put that over Brotherhood.
It's all the popular stuff, apparently.
God. Oh God. What's some niche stuff?
Talk about... there's plenty of anime about the afterlife.
I mean,
there's so much to talk
You're
about.
potentially explaining these things to people who don't necessarily watch all the anime anyway. So you can use any example. You don't just always need to go to just the most famous ones.
Yeah, just watch.
Just need to explain it well.
No offense. Get a fucking life. Watch something other than fucking anime. Seriously.
I ran out of science fiction shows. Okay.
Yeah, but you can you can be a fan of anime. It's just the fact that these people literally watch nothing else.
Yeah, then make better stuff in the US.
Something from Star Trek.
Okay, make better stuff. Make better stuff in the US because currently there's only shit coming out.
I'll take a bloody video on about Martha Stewart does bacon once in a while. I don't know, something different. Not just anything.
I mean, we've been doing DC as well.
No, but it's just like I'm gonna have an example anyway from this anime that like half the people have never even heard of. Oh right, cool, great. I don't know whether you're lying or telling the truth.
Well, she's just using the most famous ones. It's not even that is my contestation here. She's not using anything no one's ever heard of.
I know Alex Taylor's just said in the chat never, but I'm sure you've watched something other than anime in your life. These people haven't watched. Oh, actually, no. To be honest with you, good point.
I would have liked some drama about the afterlife. Like there's that Death Parade anime, which is kind of cute. There's all sorts of stories you can talk about that involve death and resurrection or the afterlife or redemption or an actual theme, an actual conflict, aside from what do you do when a character dies? Well, you write after the fact they died. That's all you do.
Yeah.
You keep going. It's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a huge problem in a story because it happens so often in certain stories. If you're writing contemporary stuff, you kind of want that. But if you don't know, always go back to short stories, do a little experiment, see how it works out in your head on paper. And that's the best example for any problem you're stuck with if you are, in fact, having writer's block or you don't know what to do with the scene. But these are so strange videos. I don't think they apply very well to the average writer. Or, I don't know, who is this for? Who watches these videos? I don't even know. Character deaths, trope talk. I don't know. Anyway,
Might
guys,
be writers who don't know how to write anything.
I couldn't tell you. I really don't know.
The main thing she does is how do you say this? TLDRs of mythological stories.
Too long didn't read mythological.
Yeah, and so this is the interjection to that. With I read all these stories and wrapped them up for you. Here's the tropes I see and what I think about them.
Oh, right, okay. It's not a bad idea. It's just the fact that she just sort of went off. Yeah.
I think she just tries to list things. It's not. I wouldn't say she's just rambling. I would rather say she hasn't fully articulated her thoughts and thus also didn't choose the right words she wanted to choose.
I have a feeling this isn't her own script.
Yeah.
I have a feeling she didn't actually write this. I think someone else is writing the script. Something's a bit too quick. Mm-hmm. She's speaking too succinctly, too quickly. But that's just my feeling. Anyway, guys, that's all I got much to say about this. If you have any problems with character or character deaths or this or that, I'd be happy to talk about it. Just not over the course of a video like this. This wasn't very helpful for discussions on how to kill off a character, how to do all these setups and how to do all these payoffs. It doesn't really
how to kill off a character. Make sure they're not breathing at the end of it.
Make it believable. Show a body. It's like that's not necessary. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, well, you know when you completely like destroy a planet. Yeah, I'll find a body somewhere for you. Just when that spaceship gets blown up, I'll find a body somewhere for you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you real soon, and have yourself a great Sunday.
Yeah.